It is not a Cold War. It's not even a chill. It's an outright conflict. U.S.-Russian relations have deteriorated sharply amid barrages of accusations and disagreements, raising the stakes on the issues ranging from countries competing in military operations in Syria, disputes over Eastern Europe's independence, and escalating cyber breaches. Now, this is what the director of the Wilson Center says. If this is a conflict, there's no doubt about it. American and Russian relations are chilled. They're ice cold. On Tuesday, White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest said that the U.S. was considering a range of proportional responses to alleged Russian hacking of U.S. political groups. Washington publicly accuses the Kremlin of cyberattacking on the election systems and democracy itself last Friday. This came after talks on a Syrian ceasefire broke down as U.S. officials suggested Russia to be investigated for war crimes in a besieged city of Aleppo. Moscow has steadily denied that it's meddling in the U.S. political elections. In an interview this week with CNN's Christine Amanpour, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said it's a baseless accusation. It's flattering, of course, to get this kind of attention, he said, for a regional power, as President Obama called us some time ago. But there's not a single fact. There's no proof, he said, in the Russian hacking scandal. America, it is indeed true. Us and Russia, where it's really bad. It's like it's bone-chillingly cold between us and U.S.-Russian relations. And this has created quite a situation, right? So Russia has nukes and we have nukes. So going to war with Russia really isn't any answer. This is really where diplomacy has to play its role. Now, we know for a fact that Russia has done everything in its power to back up their boy, Assad. Now, this is where I think the U.S. foreign policy has gone awry. I think our president, and I love Barack Obama, but I think the mistake we made a couple years back when we drew a red line against the Syrian government as soon as if they were to use weapons of mass destruction against their people, I think we should have taken them out. I really do. I know there's people who are anti-war listening to the show. We have a lot of those folks. But you know my opinion on this. I think now we've gotten to a point where the people of Syria are literally living in a Holocaust. And we have done nothing. We have been quiet. Right? You see the picture. I'll never forget the picture of the little boy who was, who they had in the ambulance after a bombing. He was bombed by Assad. And I really felt like when we drew the red line, that was our opportunity to go in and take out Assad. If we had taken out Assad, I don't think our Russian relation problem would have been so bad. Because Russia wouldn't have been able to say anything if Assad was decimated. Because Assad is their boy, yes. But the continued havoc that Assad is having on his people is creating more and more members of ISIS each and every single day. So if we really want to destroy ISIS, we've got to find a way to stabilize Syria. And the only way to stabilize Syria, in my opinion, is to get rid of Assad. Now, I guess everybody's going to ask me, so Richard, do you prop up another government? And that's when stuff becomes problematic, because every time we've propped up another government, folks, we've created a very tricky situation. Very tricky. Right? We propped up, we got rid of Saddam Hussein. And, we propped up another government that didn't work very well. We got ISIS, Iraq. So we just got to be very mindful about that. But I feel as though that is part of the problem. Now, the other part of the problem has been, us working with Russia and to do it. So now we're trying to work with Russia to get a ceasefire going to stop the fighting. But Russia has no incentive. Why would Russia get a ceasefire against their boy? Like, Assad is their dude. Like, they've given Assad weapons. They've given Assad all this stuff, and now they're like, oh, Assad's going to help us fight ISIS. In my opinion, Assad is the reason why we see a proliferation of ISIS. He's a bad leader. He's a tin pot dictator. And we've really got to do everything in our power to get rid of him. Now, back to American-Russian relations. The fracture between the United States and Moscow, by many assessments, is at its highest level since the fall of the Berlin Wall, led by Mikhail Gorbachev, the last Soviet leader to make a plea on Monday for a dialogue and de-escalation. I'm tongue twisted today, America. And this is what he said. to Agence France Presse. I think the world has reached a dangerous point. This needs to stop. We need to renew dialogue. And he's right. We really do need to have a conversation. It's time for the big boys to walk into the room. Clearly, Putin is not a big boy. But Putin needs to get his big boy pants on very quickly, walk in the room with the Americans, and figure out where they come together. How we create true and lasting world peace. We're not going to create world peace with bombs, America. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. We need to create world peace with talks.